Okay, you guys. So, hey, Fit Fighter Nation, it is our February team call, you guys. January was incredible. The end of the year was incredible. January was incredible. And I already feel this huge continuation of momentum. And it makes me like literally pop out of bed every morning. And maybe it's the 80-day obsession. I don't know. Or maybe it's your funny gifts that you're posting on our team page and how you feel after doing, the week 4. I don't know. But I'm having a blast right now. And I hope that you are too. I hope that you're finding joy in this journey as a coach and as a challenger again, and you're feeling amazing from our products and the solutions and your accountability group and working with your coach and your challengers. Like, it's amazing. It's so awesome. And the thing of it is there's so many people who still don't know what you do or what we do and how we help people. And that is what you need to focus on this month, in the month of February. And Natalie and Coyte are going to bring it on tonight, but I'm here to remind you that you guys, we are trying to throw those starfish out into the ocean. We're trying to save one person, one starfish at a time. And people don't know that you can help them unless they hear from you and unless they see you living this lifestyle where you're making changes and you're committed to a program and you're drinking your Shakeology and you're sharing it out loud and in person with the people that you love and who know you and who trust you. And you're extending your reach by asking for referrals and telling people how that you can help them and help their friends and help their family. I just want to remind you that and have confidence and faith and belief in that, because you guys, I really do believe that our team alone can change the lives of thousands of families this year if we get out of our own way and we remember why we even started this journey in the first place, and we see and feel what we're getting from our programs right now. I never want you guys to forget that, okay? So we have this incredible opportunity with Team Cup, and I know you guys are working on your Team Cups this month, and that's what tonight's focus is going to give you great information to take from tonight and apply with your teams. If you have teammates that are on here tonight, I want you to shout them out in the chat and be like, awesome, I'm glad you're on the team call tonight. I want you to be like, yes, my teammates are on this call, and shout them out in the chat box right now. Look for them and shout them out for showing up live tonight. They showed up tonight because they're going to fill their bucket so they can help your team for Team Cup and so they can help change the lives of more people, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to do tonight. The second thing I want you to do is look at your calendar for February the 24th. Okay, February the 24th. I shared this on our team page today, and this is a live training opportunity that Julie Boris is hosting, and it's something that there's even a virtual option available as well if you do not live in the Indianapolis, Carmel, Noblesville, Fishers, etc. area, that you can tune in virtually as well. But you guys, that is something that's going to be a huge event that I want you to try to attend. I feel like that we're all kind of busy right now, but I want you to see if you can make it happen and talk to your spouse, your partner, your family, whatever, and see if that's something that you can tweak your plans a little bit to be in the room on February 24th with Julie and her training with Keisha Fitzgerald. It's going to be incredible. Okay, you guys? And then I want you to also make sure that you have, let's see, what is the date in June? I think it's like June 19th. There's something really amazing that's happening in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's called the Teen Beachbody Coach Summit. Okay, you guys, like, I want you to be there. If you've ever doubted attending a major event like this in your life, I need you to stop right now and just say, I need to be there. You need to be at Summit, you guys. I want you to be there. And I just have to shout out Marlo. I don't even know if you're on here tonight, but Marlo Haddix, like, lives in Louisiana from far away, just the same as Alicia Bullock does. And Marlo was not going to attend Summit until last week. And that girl is going to attend Summit. She was scared. She was nervous. She was like, I don't know if I should go. And I said, I just talked to her and I said, you need to be there because it's more than a workout. It's more than meeting me in person. It's about being a part of this team and learning about what you are part of and what you join in this incredible community community of Team Beachbody. And so you guys, the second thing I want you to do is say, I'm going to Summit if you already have purchased your ticket to Summit, and shout yourself out in the chat box below, because you guys, that is a big deal and it's a big commitment. You know, like, I'm so proud of you guys that are committing to 80-day obsession and doing that, drinking your Shakeology every day and showing up. But if you're attending Summit, like, you guys, that's huge. And that is going to be the huge game changer in your business this year, taking you into the next year. And so when you commit to Summit, your heart and your soul will be filled with love and support and pride for what you do as a coach. And I want you to be there. Okay. So that's all I have to say about that. Okay. You guys, I'm going to look at the chat box because I want to see who's shouting out their teammates and who's going to Summit. I'm going to pass it over to Natalie, who's then going to pass it over to Coyte. And we're going to have an awesome team call tonight.
Okay, thanks, Erin. I feel so excited already just with everything that you've brought up, because this year is truly incredible for us to have an event like Summit in our hometown and really plan some incredible things for our team that's going to rally around Indianapolis. So I don't know, I already have goosebumps. So I'm so excited and so honored to be leading this call tonight and to have an incredible person. I can't even put into words. So we'll come back to Coyte in just a second, because there's so many things I have to share when we bring Coyte into our call tonight. But first off, I wanted to come to you this evening with 3 tips for you to rock out your Team Cup this month. And I thought about all of the different ones I had been in over the years, what seemed to work well, even how I performed during a cup month. And I thought about some things that could maybe help you. And my whole goal and my quest for Beachbody this year, and I've spent a lot of time working with Erin and my bestie and upline, Erica Buzzard, where our whole goal is to create really simple systems for our team. Okay. And one of the things that Erin just brought up is having one team call a month that is your motivational drive that very first week of the business month. And so what I would give you as my suggestion for tip 1 is to have a plan. Okay. And I know we all know that planning is key. We talk about that in our challenge groups, but I just want to give you my vision of what I do in my business month and how I'm going to attack like the Team Cup. Okay. Because you have, 28 days this month. Now we're on the 6th. And so right now, my team, the Comeback Kids, yes, baby, where's Dawn? She's on here somewhere. I think she's on a different screen than I see her. We are all coming back and charging ahead and letting go of 2017 and maybe some of those goals we didn't achieve. And we are simply focusing on now. So wherever you are in your journey, just start right where you are, come up with a plan. And what I would be doing right now is I would be inviting like a boss. I always power out the beginning of my business month. I start from a list. I even go A through Z on my Facebook list. I think of former people that have been in challenge groups, coworkers, college friends. I just make a big master list that I work from, throw it in an Excel sheet, okay? Keep it simple. And I work on inviting and just getting people to talk to. Okay. And then the second thing I told my cup team by February 15th, this doesn't have to be necessarily your plan, but this is what I'm doing. By February 15th, you should have had enough conversation starters with people about your upcoming challenge group, 80-day obsession, your wellness journey. People should be, connecting with your story that you're sharing on social media. That is when I start really turning my attention to making sure that I am following up. Okay. And following up is the most neglected business thing in the whole in any business, because there is this fear. And that's why I cannot wait for Coyte to talk to you guys tonight. There is something that happens to us psychologically when we either do not hear back from someone or we get a couple no's. And so what I have seen in my experience on the Team Cup, is the people that get no's, that get kind of paralyzed. There are people who kind of stop because it starts to scare them. And there's people who take that no and just say, okay, let me find one more. Let me go out there one more time. And so that's why this call is going to be life-changing, I think, for you tonight. But my goal is, if you want to treat it like a business, you're wanting to grow your team, you're wanting to bring in new people on this journey, you have to disemotionalize yourself from that outcome. So by the middle of the month is when I am usually following up, coming back and reconnecting with people with the ultimate goal of, for our team, we each want to achieve Success Club by the end of the month as a team. We want to go to Summit as a team and all get that celebrity workout and photo op. Because if your whole team achieves Success Club 5 or more, you all get to do the whatever training they're going to release. You get to do that as a team, right? That's what's so cool. This is the first time they've ever had a prize like that. I want to share that with my girls that are there, with my team. Okay, so, and that's when, then usually the last week of the month, that's when I'm powering out the extra follow-ups, the calls to action, coming back and, letting them know, there's some incredible promotions. I always kind of come back with conversations. So I look at every single month as a plan, as a business month, and I start over on day one. So I think, the other thing is just, once you can establish this in your team cup month, the goal is you just take it and you run. But the beauty of the team cup, and this is tip 2, you're on a team, right? You get to have fun. Have fun with your team. Do some fun challenges. I keep loving how Aaron's, are you calling them GIFs? I call them GIFs. I'm not sure. Are they GIFs? Okay. Have fun with your team. Lift each other up. Those people who might be struggling, use each other to support each other and enjoy the journey. My word this year for my life is joy. And I think a lot of people have shared that there are times in this business that people can lose sight of the joy that you have as a coach. And I always say, go back to that feeling that you had when you were a challenger, when you were getting those small victories. This is a month where you should be celebrating the small victories along the way with your team. Working on having conversations, talking to new people, getting outside of your comfort zone, trying something new with your social media. Those are the things that should be celebrated, not just the number of points on the board, right? Like it should be something that you guys are all doing together and you're having fun and celebrating. And tip 3, okay, so plan, have fun, and I'm kind of picking up the pace because I want to get to Coyte. Be brave, okay? Be brave. If something scares you, okay, I know this could be maybe debated, but just bear with me. It's usually something that's calling you. I have found that anything that scares me is usually my calling. And I only am going to take a quick second to tell you this, but I was talking about how I wanted to write a book. Coyte knows I've been talking about this for 2 years. And I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like I need a sign, or like, I don't know, like I'm going to pray on it. And I was sitting in the kitchen with my friend Paula last week, and by text, a message came through and it said, last call to become a best-selling author. Go to book. I don't even know where it came from. It was something on Amazon. And it was like, sign up here so you can start writing your book. And I'm like, yeah, that's really funny. Like real funny, Amazon. And so 2 hours later, the same message came to my phone. Oh, did I just get frozen? Oh gosh, can you guys see me now? All of a sudden it disconnected. Okay, I was gonna move to another room. So 2 hours later, the same message came through and I'm like, oh, come on. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write a book. I mean, I've said I'm gonna write a book, but I'm like literally going to take action. Team Cup is a month to take action. Take a Shakeology sample to a friend. Bring a shake to someone who you want to try it. Have a fit club. Invite someone over to come work out with you after work. Invite someone to come over and cook a healthy meal with you. Maybe it's a family member who you've really wanted to be a part of this journey with you for a long time. Invite them over and cook together. Make this about expanding this blessing to as many people as possible, just like Aaron said at the beginning. Okay. And then lastly, a very dear friend of mine gave me some really good advice last week. And his philosophy is what he calls the one more door policy. Whenever you feel like you are, struggling, maybe you're not close to your goals, you go back and you knock on one more door. And usually that is the door that will lead to a breakthrough. And this is a perfect segue for me to introduce someone who I feel like I get teary-eyed every time I bring up, but Coyte Cooper is like family to me. He is someone that when I was going back and looking at the accolades that Coyte has had, I just realized when I looked at them, and Coyte is not someone who likes you to talk about any accolade. So that's why I'm doing it, to make him uncomfortable, because this is my Be Brave. 75% of the things that I could share with you about his own success and journey have been since I've met him 3 years ago. And I met him when he wrote his first book, Impressions. And it was a book club that I was a part of. And he helped me change my morning routine. He helped me learn how to get up every day and come up with a way to start with positivity. I learned how to do personal development, to journal. My blessings book was inspired by his gratitude lessons and books that he would have everyone keep, to write down things that you're grateful for every morning. After that, I was in a high performance group with him when he wrote his second book, Make Your Mark, which a lot of you have had a chance to read. He is currently getting ready to publish his third book, Flip the Script. And if you know Coyte, that's his jam, okay? Flipping the script on everything he'll share with you. He has an ebook that was just released, a free ebook called 10 Habits of High Performers and Impact Makers. He has his own podcast, which I tell you what, I listen to it every time I'm doing dishes. And I'm like, why am I doing dishes again? This is just all I do is clean. All I do is empty the dishwasher and then fill it and then empty it and fill it. So what do? I need to flip the script, and I turn on some Coyte Cooper, some of his 15-minute podcasts, and I always walk away I love dishes. This is amazing. I've got food on my table, man. Okay. Lastly, Coyte, one of his biggest accomplishments is the fact that he earned a TED Talk. And those of you, if you're not familiar, this is the most esteemed motivational speaking opportunity that you can have, and he crushed it this past year. So without further ado, my dear friend and mentor, Coyte Cooper, welcome to our team call.
Well, thank you. Anytime Natalie gives me an introduction, I'm never quite sure I can follow up and keep up with what she's done. But thank you, Nat. I'll just say, as I always say when I'm on here and she does the introductions, that it's been amazing to get to know her. And I have a lot of you probably already know this, but I definitely have had a connection to Beachbody. I do the workouts. I love the product. It's something that has really helped our family. So I'll start with that. But when Natalie's doing the introduction, you sometimes get working and you don't really pay attention to some of the things that are happening. But I think the coolest thing for me, in terms of when I think about these things, is really it's all about impact. It's about what all you were trying to do. And there's something really incredible about being able to know that you're elevating people's lives. And if you haven't had that opportunity yet, it's something that is worth fighting for every single day. And the more that you invest and the better that you get at it, the more lives you get to change, the more rewarding your life will be, and the more opportunities that you'll attract to your life. And so what I want to share with you today is something new. I've never actually done this talk for any groups. Natalie called me last week and started to brainstorm. And I said, I have some ideas on this, but this is the first time doing it. And I'll tell you this just from this standpoint, that I've been fortunate to work with a lot of people, you know, to help them elevate their lives. And I've sometimes that's worked and sometimes it hasn't. And honestly, when I first started working with people, I would have people break through, but I had a lot that didn't. And I had to go back and humble myself and say, what's not working here? What am I not getting? And I used to believe when I was working with people that I could just go out and I could give them strategy. I could tell them, this is how you set goals. This is how you create your systems, and just go out and do it. And some people that would work, but a large chunk of people, it did not. And I had to go back to the drawing board and say, what am I missing here? And those of you who have heard me talk, I have people, you know, Bernie Burchard is somebody who I've learned a ton from. Tony Robbins, I've learned a ton from. And they always talk about this psychology piece, right? That success is largely due to mindset and psychology. You know, and they use the percentage of 80% being that, you know, 80% of your success is going to be from mindset and psychology, 20%. Some people don't think it's that much, but in athletics, you hear the same thing, that 90% of high-level athletes, their success is due to that, and 10% to other. We don't want to get into arguing what that is. I will say this, if it's 50% and you are not focusing on it, then you are leaving a ton on the table. And I would also argue that this is the single biggest thing that I see stopping people is the mindset piece. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to pop up a PowerPoint that I'd like to just give you some visuals and go through some things. But I wanted to say this, at any point, if you have any questions, I'm happy to stop at all what I'm doing. If you lead me in a better direction, I'm happy to do that. So any questions you have, write those things down. And I really hope that there's something that comes from this that really helps you. And if that happens, then I'll be happy. And hopefully I'll come close to measuring up to Natalie's introduction. And so let's get going. Can everybody see that? How about a thumbs up if you can see that? Okay, so let's do this. So I'm going to start by telling you, I think I live on one of the most beautiful places in the United States. It's called the San Juan Islands in Anacortes, Washington. It's where I grew up. This is a picture of a mountain that is, I can go out my back and hike there. It takes about 3.5 miles to get to the top of this mountain. And when I was in high school, I used to run this thing. And I wanted to win national titles. I wanted to win state titles. And so I would go out and I would plan to run this thing. And I'll tell you what, when you live in Washington, my house is about 1.5 miles from this mountain when I was growing up. And when you run there, there's like mini mountains to get to a big mountain. And you'd honestly be pretty tired when you got to the bottom of the mountain. But I would start running this thing and I'd get about 1/4 of the way up and my legs would start burning. But I would keep running because that's just what you do. And I'd get about halfway up and my back would start hurting. My feet would be aching. My lungs would be on fire. And there would be this voice in my head that would say, hey, Coyte, it's cool, man. Take a break. There's nobody here watching you. Take a break. And I always knew I had to do battle with that voice, and I had to push it out of the way and say, no, we're not doing that. We got to keep pushing, because if there's things that you want, you got to push through the discomfort. And so I would keep going, and I'd get about 80% of the way up, and I'd start to recognize spots. And I'm not going to tell you that I got a second win and I sprinted up the hill, because it's like a lot like when you're doing an Insanity Max workout and you're about 14, 15 minutes in, you're not going anywhere. Your legs are not going to allow you to do that. But I would keep pushing, and then I would break to the top, and all of a sudden there's this clearing, and you'd get out, and it would be this view. It would be absolutely incredible. You see all the mountains. When a day is clear, you can see Mount Rainier, which is a 14,000-foot mountain. There's mountain ranges all over the place. There's boats all over the place. It's unbelievable. And what I tell people is this: in your life, when you are going out, and maybe February is your thing, or just 2018, that when you set a goal and you start pushing, you're going to hit points that are hard. You're going to have points where you start to question yourself, and you start to say, maybe I should take a break, or maybe I should give up. And when it matters enough, you've got to push that off to the side, and you got to keep pushing. And if you will, what's going to happen for you is it may take you 6 months, it may be a year, it may be a year and a half. At some point, you're going to arrive at a spot where the view is absolutely incredible. And that's what I tell you, fight for that spot. And I would also say this: some people are the same. Some people are just like this. When you are around them, they're amazing. And you just know it. The energy that they have, the passion that they have for living, it's just, they're incredible, just like this view. And I tell people, push every day to be that type of person. It's an incredible thing when you get the opportunity to impact lives. So that's my start. And so what I want to talk to you about today is mental barriers and massive breakthrough. What are those things that might be holding you up that you maybe don't even know that they're holding you up? And here's the coolest thing. For some of you, Just noticing them the right way will help you eliminate them. For some, you're going to have to do a little bit of work, but when you eliminate them, it's going to free you up. And I tell people, you want to go on a journey, right? I think that's what all you want to do. You want to go on a journey where you're achieving incredible things. If you have some of these barriers, it's as if you were carrying around these just metal balls, these weights, and you're trying to move and it's not working. What we want to do is we want to break those things off so you can really start moving with intention. So the first thing I wanted to start with is this. What's my big idea? When I talk to any audience, what I like to do is I like to help them hopefully think bigger. And here's my thought. I don't care who I'm talking to or what the topic is. I say, I believe that you could go out and make some shifts in your life and you could absolutely blow yourself away by what you're able to accomplish over the next 6 months and years. Normally what I do is ask audiences how many people believe that, and I'll give you the skinny on that. It is normally breaks down like this. I will have 10% of people, their hands will shoot up like this right away. That's me. They believe that. And then I have about another 10 to 15, maybe 20% that look around to see if it's cool if they raise their hand, and they raise their hand. It max breaks down maybe on a great day, great audience, you get 40% of people. And I would argue that almost all of them, if they set a big goal and they go home, most of them are going to go home and go, ooh, really? That's a pretty big goal. I don't know if I can do that. There's a small percentage of people that actually push through. For those of you who fit the mold, I want to give you a reference point. This person on the screen's name is Kyle Maynard. Kyle Maynard is a quad amputee. And I know about Kyle Maynard. He was a wrestler, so I learned about him. But I don't know about you, but if I saw him in the grocery store, I would think that he has a hard time living. I would assume wrongly that he's probably the type of person that has people that take care of him every single day, that help him shower, feed him, brush his teeth. And we know better than that. He's on the screen right now. He not only does, first off, he does all those things. He crushes all those things. Not an issue. You can Google it and watch him do those things. And it's actually kind of astonishing to see how efficient he is at that. But he didn't stop there. He went out in high school and he placed top 12 in the country in wrestling. He has broken weightlifting records. He's actually, I don't personally like this, but he's fought in an MMA fight before. He's climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, a mountain that people die trying to climb every single year. He's a best-selling author. He's an international speaker. What he has done is absolutely incredible without some of the limitations. And what I always ask audiences is this: if you go home and you go, I can't do this, and yet he has these perceived limitations and he's out crushing it, what's the difference between him and most people? And what I say, he doesn't place limitations on the things that he can achieve. When there's something that he wants, he just decides he's going to do it, and he just asks how. That's all he does. How? How can I do this? And is it hard to climb Mount Kilimanjaro? Of course it is. And he says, do I doubt myself? Yeah. But he just said he just keeps asking how and stepping. And if you're willing to do that, he says, the journey is hard. But man, when you get some of the breakthroughs, the view is incredible. It's that same thing. And so that's what I wanted to encourage you to do. When you go home and you doubt yourself, remind yourself that you are totally capable of doing the things that you want to be doing. But I get to this point. Why not you? Why not any of us? What is stopping us from going out? Meaning, why do we have these limiting beliefs? And one of the first reasons is this: the status quo mentality. We live in a society where most people are settling, right? And they're not only settling, they want other people around them to settle. They criticize, they try to talk you down. It's just normal. And I remember from a young age that people, they would mean well, some of them, trying to keep you safe, but you'd say, gosh, I want to be a state champ. And they go, whoa, hold up. You need to play it safe. And I had to learn that you can't listen to that. You can't listen to people telling you can't do things, because if you do, you will always end up settling because of this. The number two thing, the crazy clutter of living. We live in one of the busiest times ever. And I know that because we all have jobs, we have kids, sometimes partners, we have all these things. And then we have this thing right here. And this is both one of the most extraordinary and worst inventions ever. It's one of the most extraordinary because you can crush it in your business by using that device effectively. My grandma, who's 85 in Utah, she's just on Facebook, just liking all my pictures. I went recently to check my email list to say, who's opening my messages? My grandma opens every single one of them. I was like, I had no idea. It's so cool. On the flip side, okay, I turn this around and I say, this thing right here, is robbing most, not just younger generations, most people every single day of living to their highest potential. Why? Because the first thing that we do when we wake up in the morning, I know from audiences, they say we pee first, you pee first. I get that. But after that or during that, we turn this thing on and we go and we start scrolling mindlessly. We end up on the news, so much negativity that goes into our brains. And that's the second thing. But the third thing, the one thing that we have to own is this. It's our negative patterns, right? I used to just teach number 1 and number 2, and I said, that's not quite right, because there's nothing that says that you have to settle for the status quo mentality. And nobody is forcing you to get on your phone and allow yourself to scroll mindlessly. Nobody. It's always your choice. It's our patterns. And it's not only those patterns, it's the ones that we create that tell us that we're not good enough, or the excuses that we make to let ourselves off the hook. There's so many of these things, and what I want to do is kind of move through some of those today. But first, before we get that, let me explain to you what's at stake, okay? These are negative statistics. And I want to tell you, first off, 66% of people are stressed, not just on Sundays when the week's coming. Every day of the week, people are stressed all the time. And then 54% higher level of it, they feel overwhelmed. They feel like they can't do anything about their stress, and they just feel bogged down. I am not judging. I have been in every single one of these places. I'm just saying that you don't have to stay there. 66% of people are unhappy on a very consistent basis in their lives. And I know that about more than 90% of people are not pursuing the things that they want to be pursuing. And the question becomes, why? What, other than what we talked about before, what is ultimately causing this? And what research has shown that up to 80% of our thoughts are negative. 80% of our thoughts. It's unbelievable. We have about 50,000 thoughts in a day, and 40,000 of those things are negative in nature. That's 12.8 hours a day, over 4,000 hours in a year spent on negative. And what I tell people is, if this is our norm, it is impossible to go out and achieve anything extraordinary. This seems like a bummer, right? Like, you're sitting here, Coyte, why are you telling me all these things? Because what I see here is something different. I see massive upside. I see massive upside. I see people who are maybe focusing on the wrong things when they don't have to. And if you learn to shift these things, everything in your life can change. And you can go to where you're doing pretty good to where you're crushing it. And I'm not even saying you have to change everything about who you are. You just have to change some of your patterns. A lot of times people think, oh, I'm not a motivated person. I'm not an energy person. I'm not a lot of things. And it's not that you're not that. It's just that you've programmed your brain to believe that you're not. Most people are that. And that's what I want to focus on. The awesome news is that you can change it. And what I would say to you right now is, what if you could take and turn those 40,000 thoughts upside down? And what if, rather than thoughts like, oh, this stinks, I don't want to be doing this, what if you could change that and instead be focused on, how do I close the gap? And what if emotions, instead of being upset, disappointed, frustrated, overwhelmed, what if you could be focused, excited, and passionate every single day? What I've learned is it's totally possible, and it's not even unreasonable. It's just being able to do some simple things every day. And what if, rather than, I'm not good enough, or who am I to be doing this, it could just be, your thought could be, it's just a matter of time. The crazy thing is, I've watched people make these shifts in about 6 weeks, sometimes 6 months, sometimes it takes a year. But really, how much is that when we're talking about the rest of your life? And how much is that really when we're saying, when you have these emotions and thoughts, that you could change that and be charged every single day? That's really what's at stake here. So hopefully we're going to get this right. And if we do, it'll be really cool. And so the final thing before I move into the 3 barriers is, I want you to understand that you have a power of choice. You have the ability to choose some really powerful things in your life. The problem is that most people, they don't know that they have this. They really don't. Every day, most of us are giving away the greatest powers that we have as human beings to go out and create amazing results. And the first choice that you have is this. You have the choice to determine how you're going to spend your time and energy. And I made the mistake when I was very early on doing this and coaching people, that I would tell people it's all about how you spend your time. And I wouldn't say it was completely wrong. It was incomplete. Because I used to tell people, if you just give something 30 minutes of your time, if you give 30 minutes to reaching out to people, it will make a huge difference. And what I realized is people went out and they started to spin their wheels. And I asked why. Why? Because some people were doing it and they didn't want to be doing it. In fact, they resented the fact that they had to do it. A lot of parents can probably understand this, right? Oh, I'm going to put my phone away for an hour. But if you're mad that you have to put your phone away for an hour and play with your kids, it generally doesn't go so well. What changes when you do this, when you go into saying, I'm going to spend 30 minutes reaching out to people, and you come from a passionate place and you say, I get to change lives today. I'm excited for this. That's an energy piece. When you combine time and energy, you choose to approach it in that way. That is a huge difference. That's one of the greatest powers that you have, is to approach things in states where you're actually excited. Let me give you a tip on this. If you don't do it, your brain will avoid it. If you teach your brain that something is not exciting, it is going to go in a different direction. So you must be able to go, I'm excited. This is a great opportunity, because when you do that, your brain all of a sudden goes, okay, I want to do that. You have to be able to make that happen. 2 is this, your response to your surrounding environment. I think this piece is one of the reasons why most people are exhausted every single day, because we don't respond to our environment the wrong way. We go out and we get mad at an orange light for turning orange. It's its job. From somebody cutting us off, from all these crazy things every single day. And I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to say, hey, Coyte, he said, nobody makes you mad. And I'd say, no, that kid on the wrestling mat just made me mad. And he'd say, Coyte, no, you don't get it. That's not true. And the moment you got mad, he said, you weren't that good of a wrestler out there. And my dad was amazingly nice. He was just shooting me straight. And I used to think he was lying. And then I realized it's totally true. Every day we get upset. We reach out to somebody and they are nasty to us back. And we get really upset, we get really down, and we alter the way that we approach things. And the key is for you to respond the right way. And then number 3, because I don't want to spend too much time here, is this. I love this. You can change what your life will stand for at any moment. Right now during this call, there can be something on here that you can take and go boom, just like that. You can change your entire life. And if you don't believe it, there are examples all over that you can find. And one of my favorites is this person on the screen's name is J.K. Rowling. And a lot of you, if I say J.K. Rowling, you know who that is. Sometimes audiences don't. I've had some audiences where there's literally nobody, and I'm like, how does nobody know who J.K. Rowling is? But then I say Harry Potter, and they go, oh yeah, I know Harry Potter. And I said, that's J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling wrote the Harry Potter books. She's now a billionaire, which is not necessarily the point, but it is kind of cool. She's amazingly well respected. But most people don't know about J.K. Rowling is before that, she was homeless, living in her car with a baby coming. Homeless, living in a car. One of the most successful human beings on the planet was homeless. And a lot of times we say, oh, well, they're just different. They're just different. They've always had it that way. No, that's not true. She was in her car and she said, I will not allow this to be this way for my kid. And she started to come. Remember time and energy? She started to come at it with passion. She started to write the book, and that's where everything changed for her. And so I'll tell you right now, you can make a decision on this call that says things are going to be different in my business, in my life at home. And if you're willing to follow through, you can create a change. And that's a critical thing to understand. So when we move through the next 3 steps that we're going to do, that you understand what's at stake. And so what I wanted to do real quick is talk to you about 3 barriers. And like I've said before, I honestly learned these things by mistake. I'm trying to help people get results. I'm coaching them. I'm banging my head against the wall because I can't figure out why people aren't getting results, because I just thought it was strategy to just tough it out. I came from a wrestling mindset. I'd say, just get out there, grind it out. And what I realize now is that a lot of people want to do that. They just don't understand that there are certain kind of barriers that we've created in our brains. And when you start to understand these things and how to shift them, you can lighten your load and really go out and crush it. So the first one is this, and please, I tell you, don't get defensive when I tell you these things, because I'm telling you things that the main reason I've learned them is because I understand even now today, these things creep up for me on a regular basis. But I see these all the time when I'm working with people in my masterminds and I'm working with them in my coaching. And the number one thing is this: instant. Don't feel like you have to scramble to write these things down. I'm going to give you the 3 and I'm going to go through each of the individual ones. but instant expectations is the number one single biggest thing that I see that stops people. And here's what happens, right? I love that most people at some point have a vision, right? They go to Summit, which is an amazing event. I've been there twice. It gets me fired up when I've gone to it. But a lot of times you'll have a vision and you'll go, gosh, I would love to do that. Man, you get goosebumps. Your entire body has a response saying, I'd love to be able to walk on that stage. I tell people, I want you to have that vision. And maybe your vision isn't that. Maybe it's writing a book, like Natalie says. Maybe she gets excited about writing a book. Here's where the problem is. When you go out and take action, if you go out and you send a couple invites and you get rejections and you go, oh, it's just not meant to be, that's expecting instant. In our society right now, I understand why, because this thing right here, the worst thing ever, the best thing ever, the worst thing ever, this thing delivers us instant all the time. I can literally go and order something and have it at my house, sometimes day of, if not the next day. I can get about so many types of information, entertainment. I can keep my brain busy all day long. Everything is instant on this phone. Our fast food, instant. You know, so many things around us are wired to give us things instantly. The problem with it is that does not translate to extraordinary achievements. And so the first thing we have to do is we have to determine how to shift that. The number two thing is this: excuses. Excuses are really, really common. And I'll be honest, I make them on a weekly basis. I just catch myself now. I catch my brain and I say, no, we're not doing this. But we make excuses, and a lot of times we do it to let ourselves off the hook. Our subconscious brain does it, and I'll tell you why in a second. But number two is excuses. The number three thing, which I think is actually might end up being one of the most prominent for this group, limiting beliefs. Okay, belief systems are so important. And here's what I absolutely know with certainty. That is, if you deep down do not believe you are good enough, it won't matter how much action you take. At some point, if you don't believe that you deserve something, you will self-sabotage your efforts and you will end up back at step A. And I've watched this. I've watched this with Beachbody coaches where they go out and they're building momentum and you're like, you're about to break through and crush it. And all of a sudden they just are like, it's not working, and they just draw back. And a lot of times the reason is they don't necessarily believe in themselves. So our job is to push these out of the way and teach you some simple things that you can do to make sure that these never become like an issue for you. And the number one thing is this instant expectations is you have to change it. You have to change the way you see things. And what I've learned is this: you can learn to love your process. In fact, I would challenge you, learn to love the in-between. And what I always tell people is if the only time you can enjoy your life is the 1% or less than 1% of when you're achieving your goals, then life is not going to be crazy rewarding for you. I'm telling you right now, set some crazy high, amazing goals and chase them down, because that time is absolutely incredible when you achieve them. But what I'm also telling you is learn to love the in-between. Learn to love getting up early and investing in yourself. Learn to love when you have challenges come, that you have the ability to push through it, and understand your brain loves progress. So when you're willing to jump in the middle of it and do that, you can radically change your life. And here's the coolest thing. We're sitting here and we're going, this seems like a big thing. And what I've learned is it doesn't have to be. You know, because if you, at any point, you expect easy, all you have to do is recognize when you're doing that. And if you recognize when you're doing that and you redirect back to a mantra or something else, you can change that entirely. And I'll be honest, on a consistent basis, I battle this because I really do love earning it. But you know what? Sometimes I'll find myself posting things and wanting my events to fill up the first time that I post something. I always want that. I really do. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be cool if I just posted this video and I just sold 100 tickets like that? Like the movies teach us that. Like we want that. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with going, okay, at some point, maybe that will happen. But I always have to catch myself and say, whoa, Coyte, don't get disappointed, because that doesn't happen. Learn to love the fact that it doesn't. And instead, you have to adjust and learn how to go out and catch people's attention, because guess what? When you figure it out, it's going to make the journey incredible. If you just got handed the things that you wanted just like that, you would not appreciate it. You just wouldn't. And so I'm just trying to set you up to understand how important it is to shift this, okay? To go from just Get rid of the idea that things should be easy and learn to love that in between. And here's the choose to, okay? Here's your choice. Choose to reprogram it. That's what you got to do. You got to choose to reprogram your brain. As everybody around you is looking for easy, instead find a mantra that you love. I love earn it. You know, my podcast name is Earn the Right to Live Your Dreams. I tell myself all the time, earn the right, earn it. Another one that I love right down here, it's on my floor, I got to post this up, all in. I love the term all in. And what all in is an ancient Aztec word that means to pursue something with all your heart. I love that. You know, rather than half in, I use these mantras to change the way that I approach my day. And here's what you can do. Here's all you have to do. Find a mantra that inspires you. Earn the right, all in, embrace the grind. I don't know, your thing. You find your thing. And when you get up in the morning, you know, try to every day you need to see that thing and try to get yourself into an excited state. I listen to music, I dance, I get to where I feel really good, and I remind myself, earn it. And it really would be funny if you could see me, Nat. Honestly, I am not a good dancer, but I love to dance. And for some reason, when I listen to music and I dance, I start seeing myself in front of 10,000 people presenting. But then I also remind myself, earn that. Get out today and do what's necessary, right? And so that's what you have to do. And realize that when you see something over and over, in that critical part, you attach emotion to it, what's going to happen is that your brain's going to start to go. The subconscious part of your brain's going to start to go, that's important. Earning it is important. And when you do it for about 30 days, it becomes a habit. Then all of a sudden, you're going to start to approach it. And you're going to go out and you're going to have somebody reject you. And you're going to go, no. We're not backing off here. This is my spot. This is my spot where I'm going to go back in and I'm going to continue to attack this and come at this until I figure it out. That's your space. And so that's a huge, huge shift, is learning it. And I just want to, before I go to 2 and 3, I just want to just reiterate this point. If in the past you have drawn back and you say, oh, well, I'm just not a person who follows through, that's not true. You just have had some situations where you just didn't give your best effort, right? It's not you. It's not that you're a person who can't. It's just that you've learned patterns that way. And you can kind of wire your brain to see it differently. So that's number 1. Barrier number 2, making excuses, right? This is so big. And I honestly never realized how big this was, but we do this. And I don't even think it makes people bad. It doesn't. Remember, it's a pattern. But do you know what our brain does? Our brain does this. Our brain has a habit of doing what we call generalizing, right? It generalizes on a regular basis. And our brains, I don't know why my brain does this as well. We tend to go back and find some of the worst moments in our life, and we pull those back and we revisit them. We just do. I don't know why, but we do this. Some of you don't because you've trained your brain not to, but most people will pull back rejection and they'll go, oh, remember that? Remember that? And what happens is this. Our brain, because we've done that so much, it remembers times where we've been hurt or we've fallen short. And what it does is it looks forward and it goes, your subconscious brain looks at a situation and it goes, you know what? Nah, I don't think I want to do that. Because what happened in the past is I went for it and I fell short, and your brain under the surface, what it will do is this. And some of you are going, you're crazy. This is not true. I swear it's true. And what it will do is it will make excuses, and it makes excuses to keep you safe. And I'm coaching a girl right now, and she is incredible. She has this amazing energy, and she wants to go out and she wants to do seminars. She wants to do talks. She wants to write books. And I'm telling you, we're working on a growth system with her. She's got her goals. She is literally, she's starting to crush it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's planning her first event. And she calls me and she's like, she has like 5 different reasons like why she has to take a break. She's like, my neck from an accident like 2 years ago. She's like, my neural transmitters are off, and she wants to go see a neuropath. And I'm going, whoa, what's going on here? And what I realized is because of past situations, what she was doing is she was setting it up, right? She was giving herself outs because she thought, what if I go for this and I fall short? That's going to be really painful. And what I had to remind her is I said, listen, and I won't say her name, it wouldn't matter, you wouldn't know her, but I said, listen, what's happening right now is this is your test. This is your barrier right now. what your brain is doing is it is generalizing. It's pulling past experiences and it's assuming that you're going to fail here. And what I know about you is you're not, right? I'm not guaranteeing you're going to get anything, but if you keep stepping, your life is going to be radically better. And we had to push those all out of the way. And I told her what's required is this. You need to spot excuses and get rid of them. Burn the bridge and say, I'm just going here. And when you do, everything will change for you. And here's what you have to do though. Your goal is not success, failure. Your goal is an opportunity to grow and get better as a human being. If you can make that shift, it takes the pressure off. You don't have to be perfect. All you have to do is say, that's where I'm going, and just saying every day I'm going to get up and I'm going to find a way to make that happen. And here's how you choose to reprogram it. I call this the empowering how activity. This is one of the single most impactful activity I've ever used to change these excuses, limiting beliefs for me. And what it is this. For the next month, set a goal. For the next year, set a goal. And then commit to writing that goal down every single day. In the morning, before you start your day. And when you don't feel like it, just push through. Use your conscious part of your brain to do it. Write it down every day. Here's the second part. I never used to do this. And when I started to do this, it changed the way I approach things. All you do is once you've written your goal down, if it's Success Club, if it's making diamond, whatever it is, I want you down below to write the word how in big letters, how, with a question mark, and say how can I close the gap? And when your brain goes, whoa, this is too big, because it does that to keep you safe, just ignore it. Say, I'm not listening to you. Push it off to the side. Just ask how. And answer it with a really good answer. When you find that answer that says, I need to reach out to 5 people today, just go and do it. And what happens is in that moment, when you go and do it, what you're doing is you're programming your brain to get rid of excuses, to get rid of outs, and instead make your brain obsessed with how. You can use this in any part of your life. Want to be a better wife or a parent? Come up with a goal of something you want to do and just ask how. Get your brain focused on that. Now what I do is this. I used to be afraid to launch an event, honestly, because I was afraid, what if people don't show up? What if people don't show up? What if there's only 30 people there when I want 100? And I had to remind myself growth, but now all I do is how. Every single day, if I showed you my notebook, there'd be writings of how, and I'd be brainstorming the ways to do it. And then I just go out and do it. And the craziest thing happened at my last event. I ended up filling it up with 90 people. And it just kind of fell into place. But every day I asked how, and I acted on it. And here's what's going to change. You're at first going to start, and you're going to go, how? And you're going to be like, how? I don't know how to make this happen. Can I make this happen? And when you act, you're going to get some results, and you're going to start to get more confidence. And then it's going to change. And some of you are going to go, I don't get what you're saying. You will when this happens. Then you're going to go, how? You're going to go, how? How can I make this happen? And it's going to be more of a curious, like, I know I can make this happen, but how? And then if you keep moving and acting, all of a sudden it's going to change, and it's going to go, how? And some of you are going, I don't get the difference in how. There's a difference in hows. When you get to the point where you've gotten some results and all of a sudden you start to believe it, it's going to be how. This is happening, how now? How do I figure that out? When you're operating in that place, everything changes. Your business changes. Your life at home changes. But you've got to train your brain to focus on how. Take enough action to allow you to elevate to the point where you expect great things. But when that voice comes in your head that says, who are you, or you can't, or you make excuses, push it off and just ask how. That's number 2. And then the final thing, which happens to be one of the biggest things that I see as well, is limiting beliefs. And I actually put up here BS limiting beliefs, because most of the time, excuse my language, but a lot of times they're bullshit beliefs. They really, really are. And I say that coming from a really kind place, a really caring place, loving place of saying that most of you, if you think, oh, who am I? Or I don't believe I can. If I was to sit down in front of you, I say, I politely disagree. And I don't need to know you to know that you have some incredible, amazing gifts inside of you, that if you use them, you would just blow yourself away. But the problem is, here's what happens. We have situations in the past where we've fallen short. Or we have a teacher who's younger who tells us, oh, no, you're not a very good speaker. And we literally hold on to that. We have a parent who tells us we're not good enough. We have somebody who dumps us, and we carry all those things with us. And then all of a sudden that becomes our norm. And all of us at some point have that voice that comes in. And what I tell people is that voice is not serving you. You've got to get rid of that. There should be no point where all of a sudden you go, I'm not good enough. I just don't believe it. Because if you were to take and change all those thoughts, beliefs, and emotions and turn them upside down, you would absolutely go out and you would crush it. You can get all the things that you really want. I really, truly believe that. If you use your brain's entire potential, the one thing you can't have is that. You can't have, that voice. You can't allow it to stay, that every time it pops up and it says, ooh, who are you to do that? You know what you got to do the next time that happens? Pick somebody you really don't like, right? I don't want to get political here. I could use like a presidential candidate or something like that. It wouldn't be productive, right? But pick somebody you don't like, a former teacher, somebody who was really nasty to you. And I want you the next time to imagine that they're sitting on your shoulder and they're saying, hey, guess what? You're not good enough. And the next time you do it, just take and just flick them off your shoulder. Get rid of them and redirect. And listen, there's so many different ways to do this. But at the end of the day, here's what I would say. This is a better example, but you have to choose to reprogram it. And here's how you know. Anytime that you're going out and you want to take action and you hesitate, there's generally an excuse or a limiting belief there. And if you will stop and say, why am I hesitating? And all of a sudden you realize, well, it's like, oh, well, who am I? Who am I to do that? When that time comes, you can obviously do the little thing where you flick them off. But what I tell people is to do this exercise. Do the why it will work exercise. So let me just backtrack a little bit. When you wake up in the morning, if you want to create change, the number one thing that you do is you go through, and we've talked about before, find your mantra, right? When you wake up in the morning, move, do whatever you got to do, earn it. Tell yourself, earn it today. Get out and do that. And then go immediately below and write down the goal of what you want and write how. And when you find that answer, commit to doing it that day. And then the final thing that you do to redirect in that same morning activity, which will literally take you maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes if you go crazy on it, do the why it will work. Because here's what we do. As humans, what we normally do is when we have a big goal, we come up with all the reasons why it won't work. And a lot of times it's tied to the BS limiting beliefs. But rather than doing that, don't do that. When you start to come up with the reasons why you're not enough, get rid of them. And all you have to do is train your brain to find why it will work. Write down one single reason why it will work. Write the best reason. And I love this. I have a client that I'm working with who's a Division I athlete, freshman. He's ranked 10th in the country. And he calls this the respect your talent activity. Respect your talent. And what I tell him is I said, listen, I want you every morning, you tell me one thing that you bring to the table that is unique to you, that you can do, that's going to help you realize this. And what you're going to start with is one. And a lot of times if all you say is this, like, I am a growth machine, or I am persistent as heck, I will keep showing up every single day. When you just start with that and you just believe that, and when all of a sudden you go, oh, I can't, no, get rid of it. I will keep showing up. And then you show up, you've created a reference point. Then you add a second one that says, man, I'm kind of funny, or I'm kind of good at connecting with people. It's going to become easier to find them. What we need to do is just create one, and all of a sudden it'll be two, and then it'll be three. Why it will work. Don't allow your brain to run wild, coming up with these crazy reasons why it can't. Train it to refocus back on these things. And when you do, amazing things will change for you, okay? So remember those activities over the next month. If you were just to practice these things, I think you will find there's this unbelievable mental shift that happens that radically transforms your life. And you won't even understand completely why. But what I'm telling you right now is all you're doing is teaching your brain, instead of worrying about what it can't do, what it is not, what's going to happen that's bad, just point it over here and say, let's go this way. This is where we want to go. You just need to learn to gain control of your brain, and then the results will follow. And the last thing I would say is this. You got to commit to earning it. You've heard me say that below. And what I tell people when I talk to them is you essentially have two different decisions that you're making right now, right? And I don't want this to come across as arrogant or anything at all. But every single day when you're waking up, you're making a decision. You just don't know you're making it. And when you're in the middle of, you're wanting to send an invite and you don't do it, you're making a decision. And there's two different paths here. And I want to end with this person. His name is Anson Dorrance. Anson Dorrance is a 21-time national champion coach at the University of North Carolina for women's soccer. he coached Mia Hamm. Mia Hamm is like the Michael Jordan of women's soccer. You know, he has coached the first ever Women's World Cup. And I was interviewing for my podcast, and I said, Anson, what does it take to be really extraordinary at something? And he said, a lot of the things that you would guess, listen, you have to have goals. First, you got to start with kind of a passion to be unique. And some of you are saying, well, I don't have that passion. And I say, that's not true. I guarantee all of you at some point have thought, man, I want my life to stand for something unique. That's all you got to have. You start with that, but you learn to take steps. You set your goals. You start to commit to going out and taking action. You know, you're willing to get back up when you have failures. But then Anson said something that I'll never forget. He said, Coyte, he said, if you don't get up every single morning committed to closing the gap on your goals, he said, there's nothing wrong with you. And I remember thinking, gosh, this is the greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches ever in any sport. And I'm like, man, I expected something more profound. And then I let him finish his sentence. He said, Coyte, if you don't get up every single day committed to closing the gap on your goals, he said, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just ordinary, and you need to get used to being ordinary. And some of you are like, whoa, that sounds crazy arrogant. And I don't know that I would have said it that way, but I will say this, that I understood what he was meaning. Because what he was meaning is every single day, what people do is they get up and they really, most of them feel like they should be doing something and they refuse to take action. And you know the reasons why here. And I'm not telling you that if you don't conquer this, that your life's going to be terrible, because I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is a lot of times when you do that and you settle for less than your potential, you're taking the route that everybody else takes. It's crowded. It's not bad, but it's never going to be extraordinary. And the moment that you actually decide to commit to something, you say, this month, this year, things will be different. It's just like when I told you at the beginning of this talk, you're going to go up, and is it going to be hard? It's absolutely going to be hard. There are going to be times when you question yourself. There are going to be times when you fail and you get knocked down. But if you're willing to get back up and continue to push through, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to get to that spot. And when you get to that spot, the view is going to be amazing. And then the coolest thing's going to happen. You're going to get a chance to experience success, and then you're going to realize how amazing the in-between was. The in-between was amazing. You can totally learn to love to get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and go out and pursue things. You totally can. And that's the level that I've actually recently got to. I love going out and reaching out for talks. I love practicing for talks. I love to get up in the morning and write my books at 4 a.m. And it sounds insane, but I've tried to train my brain, love the in-between, because what happens when you do that is every day the view is like that. And what I'm telling you is that's a view that's worth fighting for. Don't give up on that. There's a spot for you where you can go out and you can have amazing results in your business, in your life, and you don't have to feel any of the emotions that I talked about at the beginning. But you have to be willing to step. So hopefully I did Natalie's introduction some justice. If so, I mean, if it helps one of you create a shift in your life, I'll be thrilled. You know, that's what it's all about. So hopefully it was helpful. And I'll finish with one last thing. If you're looking for a couple of resources, the first thing I'll tell you is if you're looking for a read, right now, if you go on my website, you can go and get this for free. And so this is the 10 Habits of High Performance and Impact Makers. Essentially what I did is I studied really successful people through my podcast, through reading, through working with people, identified certain habits that you can practice. Some of the things that we talked about tonight will be in there, so you can get that for no cost. And the second thing I'll tell you about, this is kind of more coming, but if any of you are interested, you can write me. But I'm going to be creating a what's called an all-in coaching club, and what I want to do is create resources for people. And it's going to be a monthly resource where I'm going to be interviewing a high performer. I'm going to be providing kind of a seminar for people as well every month, weekly messages. It's more of this mindset piece that people have. And that's going to be something that will be like a $19.99 a month thing. So I'm not going to push you more than that. But if you decide that's something that sounds good for you, just let me know. So I actually hate doing this. I hate going on and promoting things. But at least for the book, there's absolutely no reason, if you love reading, that you shouldn't go and download that thing. And if you want more, just let me know on the others. So with that being said, I'll put my contact information up on the screen. If I can help you, I actually do put my cell phone on here, so don't blow me up with text. But if you really do need something ever, let me know your name, and I swear I'll most likely write you back. So hopefully it was helpful. Thank you.
Wow, Coyte. Like, I'm blown away right now. I guess I will just end on this note, and then if Aaron wants to chat a little bit more. Actually, Coyte, you had said you would, take some questions too if people had some questions. I think truly the biggest message when we tie it back to coaching and the Team Cup this month is literally recognizing and catching the barriers that we have and working on them now. Right. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is having an awareness, learning how to redirect things. And like you said, there might be a couple things, like I was jotting down when you were talking, there might be a couple things that we realized that we could kind of flip the script on kind of quick and redirect our focus. But there might be some other areas of our life that is where the personal development comes from. And that's a big part. I mean, that's one of our vital behaviors in Beachbody. And it's something that I neglected for a long time because I kept thinking like, I'm busy. I don't really have time to like journal or invest in myself. And honestly, it's not something that's, I feel like commonplace in our culture. At least I didn't grow up learning how to do like personal growth stuff. And so I think you brought up so many things, and my hope, and I know when I spoke to Aaron about this call, is that this can move you through anything that might be holding you up or any obstacle you might face this month. And that's what I hoped people would take away. So I can't even put into words how thankful we are that you shared with us and put this whole presentation together, because this is something that Coyte designed just for our call tonight. So I don't know, Aaron, do you want to take it from here and see if people have some questions or anything you'd like to ask?
Sure. I don't know what else to say, you guys. Coyte, thank you. Oh my gosh, we are so freaking blessed to have you tonight. That was amazing. It was incredible. I would say that I don't necessarily feel like we have time for questions tonight because we have to get to work tomorrow morning. Okay. And so we know what to do. Okay. And that's what you guys, if you made the time to be here tonight or you're watching this recording, you're earning that next step. And that's to treat your business and your life and your goals and your dreams with respect. And we have to get up tomorrow and we have to start taking the action so that we can earn those rights. We can earn those titles, those goals, what you want and what you deserve from your life, guys. So number one, find your mantra, start moving and earn it. Number two is write down your goal and your how. And number three is write down why it will work. It's going to work for you. I am no different than you. Natalie is no different than you. Coyte is no different than you. You guys, we have to take action and we have to believe that we can do it, that we can, that you can, that you uniquely, you can do it. You can do this, you guys. Respect your own talent. Take action starting tomorrow, and I want you to sleep on it and I want you to process this. I want you to resonate. I want you to get up in the morning and read the notes that you wrote down and just start taking action. And I think you need to get on Coyte's page and I think you need to download his book. He's giving it to you for free. Oh my gosh, Coyte, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And I don't have anything else, but if you guys have questions for Coyte, you know where to find him. And you need to take this back to your teams and to your Team Cup, to your push groups if you're on Rising Stars, and start implementing now. Okay. So anything else for the good of the order before we call it a night, guys?
Aaron, really quick, can you guys hear me still? Mm-hmm. Okay. My suggestion, and this is something, of course, I learned from working with Coyte, is it's easy to do a presentation and then look at all the notes you have and ask yourself, where do I begin? Start with one area, master that one area. So like maybe if you're going to start with a mantra, okay, and then build from there. But the best thing you can do is what Erin said, take action in something, whatever you feel like moves something in you, start with that, because that's how you kind of build. And that's what Coyte's learned over the last couple of years, is from working with different people, how you have to kind of master one little thing at a time and build. And that's what we do in our challenge groups every day. That's what we're teaching people as coaches every day. And so that would be my recommendation. And then just kind of use it as a guide for your month. That's what I'm going to do. So
perfect. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you again, Coyte, so much for taking your time. I know that you probably have to get off here pretty soon too. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It was awesome visiting with you, and excited to hear about all the things you all achieve in the next year.